Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So, I've been asked many times by my fellow hunters out there why they simply cannot kill anyone in this imbalanced game. Well, in this video I'm going to show you everything you need to know about loading up to take names and earning that dough in the early game. Don't worry about a thing, my friends, you'll be able to kill everybody, generally speaking, that is not following this loadout guide, or of course the principles of it. So stop hanging out in the foam room here and let's get you back on your feet, hunter. We're going to be talking about the right weapons to use and what not to use, of course. We're also going to be talking about the protective gear and why there's such a huge difference between common and uncommon shields and helmets. How much difference it actually makes for you to be upgrading your backpack from common to uncommon and easily doubling your profits. Next up, also, since there appeared to be a big misunderstanding between what meds to use and also grenades and such, we're going to be covering that as well for every single loadout, of course. Following up for the last part, we have the infamous gear fear. If you played Escape from Tarkov, or perhaps also a little bit of a showdown, you probably know a little bit about what it feels like to go in with a super expensive loadout and how the fear impacts your gameplay and actually ends up getting you killed often. As for now, let's start with the weapons. The first thing I have to say is stop using basic weapons, with the only exception of course of that being the bolt action rifle. The thing is that the basic weapons besides the rifle are not made for PvP in the current state of the game, which let me just remind you, my friends, is in closed beta right now, so everything may change later on and I'll make an updated loadout guide if any crucial changes have been made. However, for now, let me show you the weapons you can put your trust into and actually kill people with. Yes, that's right, if you haven't been killing people so far, you're simply using the wrong weapons. So don't stressing about it. As I said, you are by far not the only one that has come asking why you just can't seem to kill other players. First up, we have the Scarab from Osiris. You unlock that at level 2. And yes, it's just a pistol and a 3-burst pistol at that, and even so, this gun here will prove itself against your opponents within its effective range once you get the hang of control its recoil and timing your shots. And the reason why it's so powerful is because of the penetration. It actually has 5 more penetration than all of the other basic weapons, with the exception of the bolt action rifle, which has exactly the same 15 penetration just as the Scarab here. In this game, it is all about penetration. Oh yeah. Holy fuck, that's especially loud. If you're up against armored players, you know, like rare armor, epic armor, it will all come down to the penetration, whether or not you'll be able to destroy them quickly enough or not. You already know what I'm talking about if you've ever played with a weapon that has a high penetration or that you used a converter to increase the penetration of the weapon itself. When you're playing without penetration once again, you'll quickly do just like Riley here, that understands penetration completely, and just scream for it to be put right back in there. Penetration is king. Pair the Scarab with the bolt action rifle and you have a pretty damn decent loadout. As you can see here, it's a perfect combination. However, this is still the weakest of all these loadouts, but it's also the cheapest and the earliest one you can unlock. One last thing here though is that you need to use attachments to reach the full potential of your weapons, and while that may seem like a no-brainer to some, I keep seeing the wrong or at least very impractical attachments if there's even any on the enemies I kill. So go to any store and buy all the attachments besides the tactical ones, as they are optional, that you can use. You can also craft and find some that are super powerful, however I recommend you save all of those for the higher end weapons, as they are quite valuable and can make the weapons easily twice as powerful. I suggest you go for recoil control on all early game weapons with the exception of the bolt action rifle, as recoil makes no difference here. However, attachments for aiming down sight and equipping is a great bonus as well. And also, just a little bonus tip, the only weapons in this early game guide you actually need to put a scope on is the 2x scope, and that will be on the bolt action rifle and the Phasic Lancer. There's absolutely no need to put it on a guarantee. There's no need to put it on anything like a scrapper or anything else. Promise you, you just need to get a little bit used to the iron sights, which are super intuitive and easy to learn in my opinion. You know, coming from Hunt Showdown and Escape from Tarkov. Your next option, which is actually the strongest close quarter weapon we have in this early game guide, is the Scrapper from Core level 2. It costs 3 times as much as the Scarab, but it is well worth spent the money. This weapon here, once you have modded just with common mods or white mods, it can even take down the most geared players fairly easily. Now the Scrapper is a fully automatic SMG or submachine gun, which you simply just go absolutely full auto on and kills a player within 1 second, basically, you know, with 1 mag too. and it reloads pretty quickly as well, so you're ready for the follow-up teammate coming storming around the corner. Again, modified just the same as the Scarab, but focus on reduced recoil and paired with the bolt action rifle, and you have a fairly strong loadout even compared to the mid-game to high-end loadouts as well. So these are your two cheapest loadouts that are actually capable of killing enemies. And next up, we have two other weapons that are actually a loadout in themselves, weapon-wise. The first of these is the Phasic Lancer, which you unlock at Osiris level 8. Now this gun in itself does not need any sidearm to be effective enough at most ranges. You can equip a Scrapper with it for the closer quarters, however it is basically a Scarab that also works on medium to somewhat long range. I've taken down entire squads with this gun alone in my hands. It has the same principle of the Scarab as well in terms of recoil control and timing of shots. However, there are quite a few that believe the Phasic Lancer is basically garbage and horrible to use. These individuals, when I'm asked them why they say so, they say the same thing. They do not control the recoil and they shoot while strafing. I'll wager that you can still use this gun without trying super hard to control the recoil too. However, you do need a 2x scope simply to make it a lot easier, as the default iron sights actually trick you visually speaking. As for the other issue, simply do not strafe when firing this weapon unless you are hip firing in close quarters, as the shots will simply go all over the place when strafing. But the thing is, strafing is really important in this game, right? Nope, not at all actually. Especially when you're slowed down significantly and only slightly becomes harder to hit. Instead, just focus on controlling your recoil and you'll be gold, my friends. Now for the last and my personal favorite early game weapon is the Raining Thunder of the Guarantee from the ICA, which you unlock at level 7. And let me tell you, this gun is a goddamn beast. It's a light machine gun, or LMG for short, but trust me, there's nothing light about this gun. For the magazine size of 40 rounds and full auto, with more than controllable recoil and good lethality per bullet, this gun is an all-round weapon. When modified with attachments, the Guarantee can work on medium to semi-long range, and even in close quarters, as long as you still go for the headshots. It'll be overpowered by, as an example, the Scrapper at the closest of quarters, unless you hit first, or as mentioned, get some good shots in. Just remember to bring in enough ammunition, as this is one hell of a hungry beast. As a little bonus tip, always aim for the head, by the way, with all the weapons you have. There's a big multiplier of damage when it comes to the head, and it's fairly easy to hit the head in this game. And just let me repeat again, only put scopes, and that is only so far the 2x scopes, because we do not have any better sensitivity settings yet for any other scope, but only place 2x scopes on the Phasic Lancer and the bolt action rifle. I guarantee you, my friends, putting it on anything else will only be limiting yourself. And now you may be like, but Unum, didn't you skip like Manticore from Osiris and the Bulldog, Lacerator, and even the Shattergun as well from the ICA? Yes, I did, good sir, and that is because I do not recommend you use any of them. They are extremely underwhelming, they are not worth the price, and if you use the Manticore as an example, you're better off using the standard pistol basically, which you shouldn't be using anyways. So yeah, if you don't believe me, just try and equip them, you know? Otherwise, just pick them up and sell them instead. That's all you can do with it. Now, let's get to the helmets and the shields. Now, boys and girls, I'm gonna keep your defensives here brief, because this is all you need to know and I won't go into too much detail, and trust me, you can feel a difference if you just do what I say. Now, first off, again, stop using common shields or helmets unless you really have nothing else to use, and you should then be farming the materials for the uncommon ones instead. Now here's a little bit of info. I've been asked many times, why do I keep insisting that you should wear uncommon helmets and shields as the bare minimum in all deployments? Well, first of all, you won't get one-shot headshotted by the bolt action rifle as long as you are on full HP with an uncommon helmet, which in itself will save you countless of times even in the short term. Unless the guy is using a heavy converter for extra penetration on his bolt action rifle, that will still, in some cases, still one-tap you with an uncommon helmet on. However, you should not be using that expensive of an attachment on the bolt action rifle to begin with, so it's seldomly happening, so don't worry about it. Now, even though that's reason enough in itself, think about it like this: going from the base armor or the common armor to the uncommon shields and helmets, that's the biggest leap in all of the protective gear you can actually get, especially in the early game, because you have more than twice the armor, which is a flat damage reduction. Currently, it is not a percentage. which means that the basic weapons besides the bolt action rifle with only 10 penetration points will basically not be able to touch you, as long as you go up to the uncommon gear, of course. Now let me just show an example of how much a difference uncommon shields and helmets does against basic weapons. This is a guy using the basic pistol with 18 damage and 10 penetration, with me, uncommon helmet and uncommon shield, with all tons of AI on me as well. Oh. Come on. You do it. You see my point? Uncommon armor. That and she hit me so fucking much, and I was slowed. I couldn't move properly. I had the AI on me, and yet that pistol there, the AI was the biggest danger, basically, you know. So yeah, I guess that's really all that needs to be said, but don't worry, I have another clip that will make you lose your shit as well in the end. However, the only thing I would like to say now is make sure that when you're using or when you're crafting shields, is go for the tactical shields. Do not use the restoration shields. Yes, currently they also bugged, but only visually, so you can't see how much HP you actually get until it stops bugging. But still, you need the extra stamina you get from using a tactical shield. Trust me, it will make a big difference and will feel so much better to be running that. Alright, that's it for the shields and helmets, because it's kind of a no-brainer when you go up to the rare and the epic ones. However, that is definitely not in the early game. Now guess what? Throw away the common backpack immediately and equip the uncommon one. Yeah, what a surprise. But for real, here are some surprising pieces of information for my friend, since you will, after following this guide, already have close to a full common backpack of weight in your inventory. You'll not be able to get past a single compound before already being completely full on valuables. And by that pace, you will not be going anywhere, basically. Now if you use the uncommon backpack, which you can easily craft with only 4 salvaged installations, you now have so much more space to actually fill up on task items and valuables, even when you're still having plenty of consumables on you, which you will just discard if needed for better loot as you go. You can without doubt more than double your profits of every single deployment just by using the uncommon backpack. I do not recommend you use the rare or epic backpack until you are fully equipped with mid to high end gear, so the uncommon or the green backpack will cover all of your early game. And yes, you can pick up backpacks, of course, you just have to empty them first. That's really all there is to the backpack, or the uncommon backpack at least, and trust me, it will blow your mind the first time you actually get out with a successful run wearing an uncommon backpack versus a common one. Your consumables. Now there seems to be quite a bit of confusion regarding the best meds to use, and new players have a tendency to go in with the medkits, which you actually have no reason to really use because they only heal from either 1 to 100 and nothing in between, and it takes a whopping 10 seconds to do. So you can't really reliably count on them in any PvP scenario, especially if you are playing solo. And besides that, they also take up quite a bit of space in the inventory, of course. So no, you should not be bringing them in or counting on using them at all in PvP scenario. Instead, you should bring in the stim shots, and as soon as possible, which is at rank 6 from the Cyrus, you can unlock strong stims, which is still absolutely dirt cheap, and I recommend you bring in 10 of them if you plan on being deployed for more than 15 minutes, or if you plan on going against the PvP. I actually bring in even 15 at times because I'm not a rat, you know? I go for the action. But if you do not plan on going for the PvP, just make sure you have at least 5 strong stims in with you, as well as have a look out for other meds on the run. As for grenades, I bring in 4 myself in a regular deployment, and often 6 or more if I plan on doing PvP only runs. Besides the lethality of the grenades, I recommend you use them primarily for the flushing out effect. If you think some rat is sitting in a corner waiting for you, or you heard something near your extraction, go ahead and throw a grenade to see if you can force them out of cover, or at least just to make them move so you can confirm that they are actually around here somewhere. The same goes for the showdowns, of course, to force players out of cover and take them down, as they have no choice but to show themselves. As for your ammunition, which may sound a bit strange to include, however, I've heard too many times my teammates going out of ammunition halfway through a good run. Since the ammunition is so cheap, just like the rest of the consumables, just go nuts and bring in more than you will ever be needing, as you can just throw them out again and make space for more valuable loot if necessary. Gear Fear. This is the last part of the early game loadout guide, and let me tell you, Gear Fear will stick with you for a long time in this game if you feel it when playing Escape from Tarkov or games like Hunt Showdown 2. For those of you that do not yet know what Gear Fear means, we are simply talking about the pressure or stress of having a highly valuable loadout on you and fearing that you will lose it. This Gear Fear will more often than not actually cause you to do the safety crouch or play more like a rat, and believe it or not, make you freeze in combat or simply cause panic in one way or another to such an extent you'll actually end up dying from it. Now the good thing about this early game loadout guide is that once you start following it, you'll realize it is actually all budget loadouts, and you'll have it so much easier in general for being successful, as you can now take more damage, you can kill more people, and be so much more profitable that dying with any of these loadouts will not mean the world to you. I promise your game will be a completely different experience once you stop using the common gear and start using this loadout guide for the early game. And yes, as I mentioned, I will update this guide if anything crucial is being changed down the line. Now, if you can do me a solid, my friends, give me some feedback either in the comments or on my stream, as well as hit the like button to trigger the YouTube algorithm. Your feedback though, I would greatly appreciate for upcoming guides and tips and tricks as well, of course. So please. I'll leave you with an example of me simply stomping common gear folks with my rare and uncommon loadout, just to see the difference that a rare helmet and armor also can provide, even though I can do this in uncommon gear as well. So yeah, hope you stay safe, boys and girls, and happy hunting. I would like to have this been a restoration shield though, tactical shield. There we go. Is he sitting? I'm waiting for someone. I saw someone else run up there. God damn, that dude was Saber damn random for a long time though. What the fuck? Thought I heard something behind me, but just surprised it didn't shoot. More? Don't know if that was the last one. It's not. Wrong whip. I think it went down. GG all. Just what I remember to say. How many players is that? Did we just kill like 6 players or something?